Hi, I'm Alex Paulton. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. I recently got this cool box full of watches from Fortis that they let me borrow. I do have to send them back, unfortunately. But today we're going to look at the second one in the box, and that is the Stratoliner, which is a really interesting piece that was designed for space tourists. I guess, well, Fortis does have legitimate space watch chops, and putting out one for space tourism is just a nice way of marking your territory, I guess. But it is a good-looking piece and interesting in a lot of ways. Let's turn the camera around and take a closer look at it. Here's the Fortis Stratoliner S41. It's a 41 millimeter chrono. Interestingly inspired by space tourism, which is an interesting take on the pilot's watch. I guess that's why they are going for the very clean look that they're presenting here. There is a bit of timing markers and the like, but there's no rotating timing bezel. There's no tachometer. It's just a clean gray chrono. It does use their VEC 17 movement, which is a column wheel chronograph. It really is a sharp looking piece. I do think it's interesting that they didn't go with a case flush end link. They could have, because the Novanaut has a case flushed end link, you see. But they decided to go with a more open look with this, and I believe it was intentional because they didn't have to do it this way. When you compare it to other like dress chronos, like here's a Nicholas Rusek, this one goes more towards the fancy dress. And if you look at, say, something, for example, like a Zenith El Primero Chronomaster, this is more fancy. If this didn't have the open heart, it would still be fancier because of the colored subdials and the bright face. And I mean, it's just a more striking chrono because, well, these kind of chronos are trying to be sport chronos in the, true, still functional chrono sense. This has got a tachymeter bezel, insert on the rehaut, which you don't really need, but comes across as being sportier. So this eschews that aesthetic for a cleaner, I guess more futuristic presentation. But it is a good looking piece. It does have screwed lugs, so it stays with the tool aesthetic of Fortis. This is a very rugged piece, screw down crown, high level of water resistance. I believe we're talking about 200 meters of water resistance with this piece. So it's an interesting look in a very rugged tool watch. It's got a nice, this is the block bracelet, like I said, the same one they use with the Novanaut. And it does have, it's not locking, but it does have adjustable micro adjustments for the buckle, so you can adjust it on the fly for hot weather or whatever. And it does have a very nice, it's a smoked glass, it's tinted sapphire on the back, but you can see that it is a column wheel chronograph automatic, just nicely done. It's a very clean presentation. Here's the loom pattern on the Stratoliner. It's actually quite an interesting presentation with the way it's got the totalizers marked out and also the rehaut. So I guess that is for the various stages of that tourist space flight you're taking it on. But interesting loom pattern. But it does have a very clean presentation for an interesting niche, if you think about it, right? Because, as I was saying, this is still very much a tool watch. It's very hefty, very solid, screw-down crown, 200 meters of water resistance, and column wheel chronograph in there. It's a pretty solid package, and I think the design is quite interesting with the space tourism angle, trying to tech it down, I guess you would call it. So it try to make it look not as tooly as the other pieces in the line. So let's take a look at it on the wrist. Okay, let's look at it on the wrist and see how it looks. Wristwatch check, wearing my sub, my 126610 41 ceramic sub. I really do like this piece. And probably useful for a space tourist too. In fact, some space tourists have taken their Rolexes up into space. A couple of Rolexes actually made it to the moon, but they were under the spacesuit sleeve, so I consider them passengers. So on the wrist, it looks sharp. It has got good wrist presence. The bracelet is actually pretty comfortable. It sits well. The lugs drape nicely. It doesn't extend out. I have an 8.5 inch wrist. It doesn't extend out too far. And all in all, it's a nice piece. 41 millimeters. Cool gray is what they're calling it. And it's just a nice looking watch. So let's turn the camera around and close out the episode. And that was the Stratoliner. A really interesting, sharp tool watch, but with a bit of a genteel flair. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and have a great day.